Jordan Maxwell joins us tonight. Jordan, of course, one of the preeminent scholars studying world geopolitical control. He has been doing it for over 50 years. Jordan is an extraordinary resource. He is a living icon. In fact, in Japan and other Asian countries, but primarily Japan, when people get up to a certain age in life and have accomplished a certain amount of expertise, good in their field of endeavor, they are declared living monuments in order to pay respect to them while they're still here. And I kind of like that. I think of Jordan Maxwell as a living monument. And we're going to be joined by a friend of Jordan's. We'll call him Joe tonight. In fact, any other night as well. His name is Joe. But first, let's say hi to Jordan. How are you, my friend? How goes it?
Well, thank you much, Jeff, for being on again with you. It feels kind of strange being back on radio, but here we are. Always happy to be with you.
Oh, good. It's been a lot of time, many years. We've heard some amazing things, and you've shared some extraordinary information. I will never forget the stories of your UFO encounters north of area, S4 up there in that area. You weren't in S4, but the little alien, Area 51, how you drove out on the dirt road, and you were, I remember this, you were directed to turn down, it was pitch black, and you turned down a road off a dirt road, and this is a dirt road out in the middle of nowhere, folks. And all of a sudden, the sky, the clouds opened up, and down through the clouds came a number of illuminated objects, and you were in a convertible automobile, as I remember.
Yeah, and there were two other people with me that night. There was my editor friend, Paul Tice, and Ivy West. So there were three of us that saw it, and the two of them, there were 7 UFOs, 7 of them, and they were glowing bluish white, and they stopped directly over our heads and just stopped and sat there. And it actually, in fact, scared me. It truly was frightening to me. But to my two friends, they thought it was, they thought they were seeing Santa Claus for the first time. They were dancing around saying, well, what a wonderful experience and how beautiful they are, but I wasn't. I was very much afraid. And that very night, when we got back to the little alien in our room, we had an alien visitor in the room. So this is why when I hear stories about aliens up at Area 51, there's no doubt in my mind, because one of them came in our bedroom that night. So,
I remember the story. It's in the archives. You can all hear it, and a remarkable life you've led. So
I have had plenty of those kind of experiences. 36 experiences in my life like that.
I remember the other one when you were walking down the road at night, I think in your pajamas as a youngster.
Yeah, I was about 7 or 8 years old.
The car came by. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was another amazing story. Well, what amazes me is the speed and rapidity by which evil has just sprung the trap. They've been planning for centuries on how to take control, total control of the planet and its people, its countries, its wealth, and all the rest of it. But I think beyond that, there's another big prize, and that big prize is the human soul, the human consciousness.
That's what I think.
I think they have co-opted that and are well underway in their plans to re-engineer the human soul to more closely fit something that will serve whatever purpose they're after. I have no idea what it is.
I think you're right. That's exactly right. There's a scripture in the Old Testament that says, the sons of this world are wiser in a fleshly way than are the sons of light, which is extraordinarily true, accurate. The sons of this world are far more enlightened and educated than are the sons of light, than good people. The bad are brilliantly bad. They have extraordinary knowledge on how to manipulate the human race. They have destroyed humanity all over the world. They have kept our human family ignorant, ill-informed, and unread, and bamboozled the human race with their silly games and wars and drugs and alcohol and all the other, along with television. And so they have mastered the human race and completely confused us, we humans. So I don't know who these people are, but they're good at what they do. Like the Bible says that these people who are the people of the world that are doing these machinations are far, far wiser than the good people that they're ripping off. That's always been the case. Normal, good people, I've said this many times to you, that good people very seldom ever get organized on a massive scale to do anything.
It's
and
true.
They get organized around the city, to do small things. But
sure.
But these masters who are raping and destroying Christian civilization, they have been planning this for over hundreds of years. And this is massive coordination with money, and power, and drugs, and it's a massive thing. This is why most people are not able to get their minds wrapped around how actually well this machine really is, and how big it is, and how well financed and organized and directed this tremendous machine that is marching over the earth. And it puts me in mind of some things which I've, in Hollywood movies, like Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds, when you see this UFO thing coming out of the ground and disrupting the city and destroying everything.
Yeah.
And then it's walking over the earth in all countries, destroying, raping, and pillaging, and frightening the whole world. What was that story originally all about? Well, it was written by what's his name, Wells, H.G. Wells.
H.G.
And H.G. Wells was one of the founding members of the Fabian Socialist Communist Party. Mm-hmm. Became known as the Communist Party, but it's called originally the Fabian Socialist Movement. And their idea was to take over the world, but to do it in such a way that no one would even recognize it happening until it was too late. And so, this was the H.G. Wells was one of the founding members of the Fabian Society. So I think that that's probably what he was really talking about in his book, War of the Worlds. The war of the world of mankind as it has been, as opposed to a new world order. Mm-hmm. And so there's going to be a massive international and massive war going on to destroy the old world order in order to bring about a new world order. So, in a manner of speaking, it is a war of the world. And I'm sure...
That's fascinating, yeah.
And I'm sure Steven Spielberg knows that. No doubt in my mind about it, because so many of his movies and cartoons for children have all overt communist stuff right there in your face, using communist terminology, Marxist-Leninist terminology, symbols and emblems of the old Soviet communism. Is right in your face if you know what to look for.
It's crucial to remember that Stalinist, Leninist, socialist communism, otherwise known more properly as Bolshevism, is a pure Zionist Jewish construct. Now that's the secular part of it. We're not talking about the religious aspect. Zionism is a worldwide geopolitical engine of domination and subjugation. All right? It's not a religion.
No.
Anybody can. There are 35 million Christian Zionists in this country. Yep. They are considered to be very dangerous people, even by the government now, which has listed many of them as potential terrorists. It's crazier all the time.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a book, and we've talked about this book before, but I would highly suggest that you might even be able to find it as an ebook for free on the web. But I would very much suggest that you might want to get this book one way or the other. It's called Fire in the Minds of Men. It's written by James Billington, 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 James Billington. And James Billington, Fire in the Minds of Men. He happens to be today the chief librarian for the Library of Congress. So he's very much a systems man.
Oh, yeah.
And he's very well informed and extraordinarily brilliant writer. I really admire the way he lays things out so incredibly.
Oh, fascinating. That's quite an endorsement from you.
Everyone needs to know this book. It's called Fire in the Minds of Men by James Billington. Billington, James Billington. And as I said, he's the chief librarian today of the Library of Congress.
Wonder if we can get him on the program.
Yes, I mean, he would be sensational because he is an extraordinarily brilliant writer. But the thing I like about his book is that it's a very thick book, incidentally, quite a large volume. But it's so well written. It's fascinating. You can't put it down. He talks about the Bolshevik movement, the socialist world, socialist movements around the world, who's financing them, where the money comes from, ties it into the religions of the world, from the British Israel World Federation, connections with the Zionist movement. It's just an incredible array of darkness that has been set up all around the world to manipulate the whole entire human family on the earth into a one-world, a totalitarian world state. And he outlines it and gives you one-third of that book, or almost one-quarter, I would say, of that thick book is footnotes. He has footnotes on everything, where everything came from, who's doing it. But I think the part I liked about it is when he gets into the occult religious aspect, all the different churches and the cults and the different religious orders that are connected to the world Zionist and the entire superstructure of this dark machinations for hundreds of years that have been spawning religions, from Jehovah's Witnesses to Seventh-day Adventists, Second Adventist movement, Worldwide Church of God, British churches, American churches, especially the Episcopal and Presbyterian, and especially the Methodist Church, and how all of these churches and all of these institutions and educational institutions are being financed, organized, and directed behind the scenes by an extraordinarily brilliant and old order that is manipulating the entire planet. And again, this is a chief librarian for the Library of Congress laying out the entire scheme and how it works and what the words mean. And he gets into, and what's fascinating is he talks about Moses Hess, brings him up quite a bit. Moses Hess, the Jewish rabbi, rabbinical authority, was the first man who actually married communism to religion and Judaism. And he brings out how, and he shows all the documents on how Moses has brought the concept of communism into Judaism and ultimately into Christianity, and ultimately then from there into the Western world politics, and that and explains the Jewish connection